Well, I'm sure this topic is going to garner some pretty good discussion in the comment section below, but either way, I do feel like it might finally be time to start bringing up this entire idea to the Montreal Canadiens Juraj Slafkovsky front. Oh, Lego, what are you talking about? You don't need me to tell you what I'm talking about. It's in the title, it's in the thumbnail, it's always been like that. Today we're going over an article published on RDS from yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, yeah. September 29th, Thursday, so yesterday. And it was in French, so I'm going to have to translate this using the Google machine into l'anglais. Pretty much, the title of the piece goes over the entire premise. Juraj Slafkovsky, Montreal or Laval? And, you know, I don't really like to do the entire let's just read an article in full on the YouTube channel because, like, that's a lot more plagiarism than I would like it to be. I guess you could say, oh, but Lego, you're adding your commentary on it, so it's not really, but it doesn't really feel the best inside when I make videos where it's just only reading. But because this article is French and we translated it, I feel a lot better just going out there and saying what is on the piece. And besides, Francois Gagnon, the guy who wrote this article, had some very interesting insight in the first little bit here, starting off by saying this. It was clear that the debate would prevail at one time or another. The only outstanding question was, when? After admitting on Monday that he could skate better and be better than he had just been against the New Jersey Devils in his first career NHL preseason game, a very honest game. That said, Juraj Slafkovsky had a tougher game Wednesday night in Toronto. By the way, this is translated. Google Translate is not the best once in a while, so that sentence, it was kind of jumbled up, but you get what the writer is saying here. It was enough to set fire to the powder. It was enough to raise questions about the relevance of having selected the 18-year-old Slovak first in the last draft. Relevance is not really the right word, but the validity, maybe, I guess is a better word, or the correctness, I don't think that's a word, but you get what I mean. Already? After 2 preseason games? Yeah, already. On social media, on both French-speaking and English-speaking telephone forums after the match, I guess they mean social media forums, it began to surge. Note that if he did distinguish himself against the Devils, and that he had done so again at the expense of the Leafs, whom he had faced due to the package of an ill, flu-stricken Jonathan Drouin, it is the opposite effervescence. That's a word, eh? That would be produced when we would have immediately identified Slafkovsky as the #1 candidate for the Calder Trophy. What could not have been better, we will tell each other. Why start in fear so quickly? Why try to draw a big conclusion so quickly? Yes, Slafkovsky was the star of the last Olympic tournament at the Beijing Olympics last winter. Yes, Slafkovsky is heavy, tall, and strong. Yes, the Habs preferred him to Shane Wright. And, I mean, yeah, this is a pretty dramatic article, isn't it? It's kind of funny, but I like it a lot. As impressive as he was at the last Olympics, and yes, as he was big, tall, and strong as he could already be, Slafkovsky is only 18 years old. And it's only next March that he'll be 19. Is it possible that after 2 games it's a bit, or 2, or 3, too early to draw any conclusions about an 18-year-old young guy? I've been kind of saying that the entire time, but the article then goes out there and says that it was kind of written out here that Slafkovsky is not going to go back to Europe. He's going to stay here in North America. And so, when it comes to how the Canadiens are going to keep him around, the question is it in Montreal or is it in Laval that the young Slovak will play his first season within the organization? Gagnon writes, I understand very well the desire of the Canadiens to want to keep Slafkovsky close in order to be able to keep an eye on him and to properly control his development. The word development is also the most important to associate with the name of Slafkovsky for the next 2 weeks, or few weeks, for the next few months, or maybe even for a year or 2. But this decision will force Kent Hughes and the Canadiens to remain stoic in the face of calls from the media and supporters who do not always have the patience required to give development its time to work properly. You can kinda see what the rest of the article goes over. It's really long, by the way, so go ahead, click the link in the description. If you want to go ahead and translate it, you can right-click on Google Chrome and click Translate to English. But pretty much I wanted to bring the focus of this question to the YouTube channel. Juraj Slafkovsky has played in a few preseason games, and Juraj Slafkovsky has not been great. Sure, he's young, and I said in the entire video, the Slafkovsky slander video a few days ago, that this is all development. He's going to become a good player, most likely. Sometime down the line, he will be effective. He will score points. He will score goals. He might not be as good or better than a Shane Wright or a Cooley sometime down the line, but that's okay. As long as the Canadiens get themselves a good player, That's what you have now. Like, you cannot go back and change the past, so you just gotta deal with what you have. But even though that may be the case, there still are a lot of development paths that you can take when it comes to keeping this guy around and focusing on what areas he needs to improve upon. Maybe it is just the speed, the pace, and the movement, the style, the flow of a North American hockey game. Maybe it's just the pacing itself. He needs to get a little bit faster. Maybe it's the decision-making. It's, hey, he's going into the corner. He's not really making the best reads with the puck. The play is dying on his stick. There's a turnover every time he enters the offensive zone with the puck. Small things like that. Juraj Slafkovsky did not have the best few games against New Jersey and Toronto, and you could definitely say that it was made even worse against Toronto by the fact that a lot of Canadians just did not pass it to Slafkovsky all too much. It's not really like he was being given the best opportunity in the world to succeed, but with the limited chances that he did get, it's not really like he showed off too well with those either. So one may ask the very fair and legitimate question that says, hey, do you want to keep this guy up in the NHL? Do you want to play him with Caulfield and Suzuki when you could debate he's not ready to play at the top level yet? I don't know. This is exactly what the preseason is for, determining these questions and the answers to these questions at the same time. In fact, it's gotten so bad that if you go over to the Habs subreddit, where this article on RDS was published, the first comment from Ermer1929, he should play top-line minutes in Laval this year. Then, television CEO says, I find it reassuring that most people want him to play in Laval. We're really not in a hurry right now. Personally, I'm not ready to make that call yet. Not until I see him play with Suzuki and Caulfield. But, so far, I also think that Laval seems to be the best option. Blaze of Glory 72 then responds, while that would certainly be fun from a fan perspective, I don't know if Slafkovsky should make the team if he only looks good playing with our two best players. If he can't look good in his own right, and he needs highly talented line mates to perform, then he's not ready in my opinion. Now, there is a bigger discussion to be had. Hey, is he playing with Doc? Is he playing with whoever? He's doing okay with Doc. He's doing poorly with Doc. It's whatever. Doc has actually been pretty good, by the way. I do like Kirby Doc a lot. But for Juraj Slafkovsky, the point still is kind of there that if a guy's not ready, he's just not ready. And I know we've only seen 2 games of preseason action so far. We'll get a little bit more action as time goes on here. The question remains, how far do the Canadiens go with this experiment? They've got a few games to go into the regular season before the first year of his entry-level deal is removed from the contract, but you also have to remember that the first overall label is not really a reason to go out there and keep this guy around if he is just simply not ready at all. You had yourselves a streak of first overall guys that were superstars, and I do think that it kind of tainted our expectations as to how first overall picks could be. Taylor Hall was really good right away. You had yourselves Nugent Hopkins, who was good right away. Even Yakupov had a pretty good rookie season, all things considered. Nathan McKinnon was good right away. So was Aaron Ekblad. And then you had Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, who absolutely showed off that you can be phenomenal right off the bat, too. Patrick Laine was second overall behind Matthews. You had Jack Eichel, who were all very good players as well. So a lot of people said, hey, first overall, second overall picks, these guys can be good right away. And then we started seeing the contrary. We started seeing guys like Jack Hughes go first overall, who had a pretty bad rookie season, all things considered, when he played in the NHL in his first year. Same could be said about Alexis Lafreniere. And then you had Owen Power, who didn't even go to the NHL in his first season. He played one more full year in Michigan before signing his ELC at the end of the 2021 season. Power not starting out with the Buffalo Sabres was the first overall pick since Eric Johnson in 2006 to not play with his NHL team in the first year, or to not start the year with his team, excuse me. So, for Juraj Slafkovsky, that trend's already been broken. And it was broken last year. I think everybody should start to get more used to the idea of first overall picks just not being Connor McDavid right off the bat, where you're a point per game, 30-goal scorer who's already super amazing because you showed off well at an Olympic tournament a year ago. For Uri, I definitely do think that the best is yet to come, but I do pose the question, where does he go? Where does he stay? Where do you think he will excel more? And what do you think would be the best decision for his development? Staying with the Canadiens for 21-22, or 22-23, excuse me, or spending that season first line in Laval? Talk in the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj Slafkovsky, and Bye.